Hello.
Hi, Yvonne. How
Hi,
are
Emmy.
things?
Another week has passed us by.
Oh, yeah.
That's always the thing. It's like, oh my goodness, another week has gone. But here we are. Here we are in I kind of want the second to last week of January. That also seems a bit crazy, right? But we've been coming here every Thursday, sharing a bit about mental fitness and the saboteurs, and really talking about those different saboteurs and how they show up for us. And the reason why we're talking about the saboteurs so much is because they are a fundamental part of the way that we will be running Permission to Thrive, the kind of way that we'll be helping the women who come into the community to better understand the narratives that have been playing out for them and the work that can be done to really shift those and to really start getting to a place where they are operating, where we are all operating from our sage powers and living much more powerful lives and creating what we truly want and desire for ourselves.
Absolutely. And the thing is that we keep on going on about that because we feel that this is like, once you understand that, you can really shift and change and take back control.
Yes, yeah. And
As
the
you
great
can
thing
call
is,
it.
this is from experience as well, because we've gone through this work. And, I've been a coach I've been coaching for, I don't know, at least 15 years, probably a bit before that, but if you like, as a certified and qualified coach, certainly for the past 15. And, the frameworks that we are using now are just so powerful. They are so brilliant at helping people make the much needed shifts so that they can create all of the glorious things that they want to have and experience in their lives, and do so with confidence, do so from that place of, it is possible for me. When I quieten down all of these voices, so much is possible for me. And that's really what we are kind of working with. And so this week we are looking at I Am Alone through the lens of the stickler, the perfectionist, which I am not.
Me either.
And if you've been showing up each week listening to this, you'll know that perfectionism is not what we operate from. It's definitely not something I operate from. But I have met plenty of people that do have the stickler that's high on their list, and that in some respects, again, when you look at the underlying strengths of it, fantastic, wonderful things, really eye for details and all of that great stuff. When it's in overdrive and it becomes the stickler, can cause so many issues and so many challenges. And I think when we look at the stickler, and we're now talking about I am alone, why does the perfectionist potentially suffer from loneliness? And I think for me, one of the things that I see, and perhaps I've experienced when I've been around people who are perfectionists, is that my way, and it has to be A, B, C, D, E. It just, there is so much rigidity to it that I personally have felt myself going, okay, I'm not sure that this, I'm not sure I can go with this, or I feel comfortable with this. And so there is that kind of the person stepping back and thinking, well, if you know everything that needs to happen and it needs to be done that way, then it's probably best that you do it. So there's almost like cutting off a supply of other people's ideas and thoughts in the pursuit of what you believe to be the absolute one and only way. What do you think, Evie?
Exactly that. I think that every time I have been around a person that like naturally acts like this, I naturally just shy away. And it's not like you want to leave them alone. It's not that they have nothing to tell you that is of value. On the contrary, they probably have lots to tell you that is of value. It's just that the way that it is done and the way that they are hanging on to every single detail and how it needs to be done, it stops you from being creative. It stops you from being able to have a saying. So then the communication stops. And when that happens, of course, people don't there is no give and take. It's just you're just being thrown information, and you don't necessarily always agree with this, so you just leave. And that's how I have seen it. But I mean, from their point of view, I think that they cannot see that. What they can see is that they can do the perfect thing, or they need to know in order to do the perfect thing, and nobody else does it. So they're left alone to do it perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
So, and it's really interesting because somebody has just sprung to mind who I know is somebody who's incredibly creative and is also a stickler. So
Seriously.
so there is this almost inner constant, like all of this, like, oh, all these things, it's like, oh, that would be amazing, and then the stickler comes up. Oh, hold on a moment, because you need to do it it's a very certain way and it has to be very specific. So what has ended up happening for this particular person I'm thinking of is that none of the things that they set out to do has ever started, because they're so busy making this creative thing so perfect, or trying to, that it never actually kicks in. And so I'm just like, so now you're just left with a pile of brilliant projects, each of them, that never come to life, because in your pursuit of perfection, they're never ever good enough. Even when, of course, they're good enough, but they're not good enough. No, 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 it's not quite ready. I need to do something else. Oh, no, I need to do this other thing. And so it's just like this constant, like that must internally, trying to imagine how that feels internally, right? Where the creativeness is like, yeah, this is amazing, and look at, we can explore, and da, da, da. And then this voice coming in and just going, let's just get straight here, I mean, that must be, pretty hard. I mean, hard on self, but and for me, there's something about that is really corrosive in terms of confidence, because
Absolutely.
the creative self is like, yeah, amazing, and you've got all of these brilliant ideas, and then the stickler is just like, but you haven't perfected them, so you can't possibly take that out. There is no mediocre here, there is no just enough. So it's, yeah, that's tough. That's
Yeah,
tough.
I mean, imagine undermining your own self or talking yourself out of fantastic ideas just because they need to be done in a certain way. And before you do that, you need to know like 10 million things. And then, you don't have enough time. And by that time, oh, the idea has been actually realized by somebody else that really did not wait to see, how they're going to do it perfectly. And I have seen things like that happening quite a lot. And I think it will resonate with a lot of people, having that perfect idea that 1 year down the line, you actually see it. Done by somebody, and you're like, oh, I knew I could do this. I
Yes,
had it. It came to me, and then I just didn't pursue it.
I
Why?
didn't do it. I didn't. And at the same time, and what's really interesting, sometimes at the same time, when the stickler rears its head at that point, it's like, but they didn't do it as well as I could have, or I would have, or, then there's this, so there's a continued narrative that goes with that, about, well, if I'd have done it this way, and I'd have done it this, and it would have been so much better, and it would have been, it's just like, but you didn't do it. And you didn't,
Correct.
the whole point is you didn't get started. And so, yeah, there is so much about that can push people away, just cause people to think, do you know what, that like this energy that I either can't keep up with you, because there's just, or actually, it just doesn't sit with me because you're not hearing other people's input. You're not necessarily open to it unless it ticks a very specific box on your list of what must occur, and that can be a really lonely process. And at some point you're either questioning yourself and thinking, well, what's wrong with me, or questioning other people, what's wrong with them, why don't they see the importance of doing it this way, this constant ongoing chatter.
That's it. And the thing is that I think the Stickler has a very strong judge as well. It's not just the Stickler. I think they are very good pals, them too. I mean, the judge always is around, I suppose, for all of us. But when it comes to that, especially when you see things happening and you did not pursue them, I think you also have at the same time very strong judge. So apart from what you were just saying there, thinking that, oh yeah, I could have done it better, the judge would come out and say, yeah, but you didn't start it, and why didn't you start it, and you're not good enough, and blah 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 blah. And then it becomes like a whole lot of different dialogue. So there is so much going on in the head of somebody that is a strong perfectionist, a strong stickler, and it is important that they, like, the people that are like that, to really give themselves a break. I don't know. I mean, I feel for people like this, really.
Yeah,
I don't believe that we have to be mediocre in order to move forward. I really don't believe that. And I don't think that it is necessary. But the problem with sticklers is that they think that anything bad is mediocre. And, like, if you think like that, you can never move forward.
yeah,
That is the whole point.
absolutely. And I think some of the things that, if any of that resonates with you, think, yeah, well, that pretty much sounds like what I what I do a lot of. Again, this is not an opportunity to beat yourself up. It's just an opportunity to be aware and to recognize, and really be able to say, well, have I allowed that to stop me from doing the great work that I know I'm capable of? Have I allowed it to break down my relationships where I do feel alone because people perhaps are just sick to death of me trying to get everything just so, and have moved away from me, or I've closed down to them because they don't try to do it this way? And I think one of the things that I would say is that, or one of the things to think about is, celebrate progress instead of perfection. Celebrate progress instead of perfection. Every time you're doing something and you progress, and for me, the micro steps, like every time you take a micro step, recognize it as something towards something and really be able to see it and celebrate it. Because I think that can sometimes help to break away with just like, nothing's great until it's completely done and it's done exactly like this, because that for me is like the kind of default, and that becomes such a blinker. And so that ability to acknowledge progress and to celebrate it, I think, is one of the ways that the stickler can be much more in the moment, and actually people can be a part of that, and then that sense of loneliness can dissipate.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great idea, actually, Yvonne, for somebody that is battling with this type of, perfectionism. Just celebrating the step. It means that, okay, you can take a step that, according to you, is perfect and celebrate it. I mean, let's not get hung up on the result, the final result, because, well, we are a society that is really, like, thinking a lot about the final results, and as long as you get there, then you are successful or whatever. But there are so many steps that need to be taken till you get there, and there are a lot of ups and downs. And I mean, we need to be kind to ourselves. We need to say, okay, I had a good day, I had a bad day, whatever. I mean, let's celebrate the good step, whatever that is in your mind. It doesn't need to be, my good step or Yvonne's good step, but yours, and celebrate it, because you can also celebrate together with somebody else, and then you can bring them in
Yes.
and feel a little bit less alone in your journey. So,
Absolutely. And just as you were saying there about, be open to kind of sharing the good days, bad days, the challenges, the wins, kind of get into that habit, because for me, that also allows you to share your imperfections as well. Like everything, if anybody thinks that everything just lines up and goes right from start to finish, I mean, I wish.
yeah,
But in reality, that's not what happens. We know this. We know that there are challenges. We know that there are days when we nail it and everything is going exactly as we want. And there are days when it's just like, oh my goodness, why did I get out of bed today? Right. And knowing that all of that is okay, because all of that is the journey. It's not going to stop you to get from getting where you want to go. But there is a need to be able to be with all of that and extract the lessons from all of that, and to be able to say it's all part of the process and it's okay. Everything does not need to be perfect in order for me to get to this place. What I need to do is be in the moment and to just be with what I'm going through in this moment, and allow other people to see that, because guess what, that's what's happening for everybody else. That's what's
yeah.
happening for everybody else.
You understand that you're not alone by sharing. That's the whole point. And I know some of us are like a bit like, oh, come on with the vulnerability, thing, because it is quite a lot of this going around in, social media and everywhere in the last couple of years or a bit more. The truth is that we are celebrating vulnerability because we have realized that through being vulnerable, you become much more connected, and you
Yes.
become much more like a, I want to say a vessel for, or like a
Mm,
shoulders for somebody else to actually grab on and say, okay, then I wasn't alone. I might not really want to be out there and be as vulnerable, but seeing somebody else being vulnerable, I can at least take a breath and say, okay, it's not just me. There are other people out there that are battling, and then, you know, I can take a little bit of hope and move forward. So that's the whole point. And there isn't perfection in vulnerability. But there is a lot of vulnerability in the people that think that they need to be perfect, and that is the issue.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And yeah, I 100%. And there's something it's over my head. My head is buzzing now. I'm just thinking about. There's also this thing about, you know, be more collaborative and less controlling. Like, be more collaborative and less controlling, because actually that allows for more creativity. That allows for greater exploration. That opens your brilliant idea up to other things that could be expanded into. And that's really, you can't just collaborate with yourself, right? but you but if you stay in that level of control that the perfectionist seeks, or the perfectionist works from, it's really difficult to get people to want to even collaborate. Why? Well, because actually, what's the point of me collaborating with you when you think you have, or you feel you've got all the answers, and we're going to do it your way, or there's no way. So for me, there is this thing about being able to just step into the things that you need to do in a much more collaborative way. Like, I need to make space for other people to contribute. That way, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in my thinking. I'm not alone in having these great ideas. I'm not alone in getting the things done that need to get done. Because I think there's also this thing with the perfectionist, is that if you are in that state where it has to be done this way, you are just piling on pressure on yourself to get a lot of stuff done, because most of these things take time, take
Hmm.
energy. And it's like, so you're going to sap yourself dry trying to do all of this stuff on your own because nobody else wants to be in that space with you. How, how do you think that's going to work out? How is that going to impact your health? How is that going to impact on you getting to that line, that final destination? How is that going to impact on your relationships? We've already mentioned that. So I think there's just so much more to understand that uh, there's nothing wrong with striving for excellence.
Okay, yeah,
There's
absolutely.
nothing
That's a
wrong with
very different thing, though.
striving for perfection can be incredibly damaging. And I can only say that from what I have, from conversations I've had with people who really have struggled with their perfectionist streak, if you like, or saboteur. Not something that I've personally had, because I've never been a perfectionist. So the stickler is not on my radar. But on a personal level, it's not. I love to get things done. I love to get things well done. I care, but I'm all about going back and reiterating. I can go back, I can tweak, I can clean up, I can, that's my way of being. So yeah.
That's the only way to move forward. And I was just thinking while you were talking there that when we allow others to come and play with us at the end of the day, we are more likely to get that perfect thing that we want to get sorted, because everyone has something to give, to share, to do, and everyone has different talents, or different things that they know or they can do perfectly. And like I love this in collaboration, because then you start not doing the things that you don't want to do, but then there are others that I love doing those things, so why not?
Yeah.
And you're
And
not alone.
that can be such a trap for the perfectionist, trying to do it all, and trying to do it all, not just trying to do it all on their own, but trying to do it all on their own in a very particular way. That is incredibly energy draining, I would say. And do you know what? If anyone's listening, or anyone watches this on replay, and they know that they potentially have this trait of the stickler, that I would love to hear, how that shows up for you. Do you, is it energy draining for you? Because maybe I'm just assuming it is. I would love to know. I would love to know, because I think the people that I've spoken to who this definitely resonates with, just, for them, they say it's just a constant battle. I'm constantly having to battle with myself. And of course, the more I battle with myself, the less fulfilling the thing is that I'm doing. And, probably the more harm I'm doing to myself, because I start thinking I'm not good enough. And so all of those things that we talk about start really showing up for them. And yet the breaking the pattern is a challenge. But we know that all of these patterns, all of these narratives can absolutely be repositioned,
Absolutely.
can be repositioned so that they are not the front runner in your life, so that they're not stopping you from getting to the place that you truly want to get to, and that you're not doing the things that you truly want to do on your own. Because actually journeying with others is like such a joyful thing to do when you're with the right people to do that journey with.
100%. I mean, and that is literal as well as, like, how do you say that other word? But yeah, I mean, even like a real journey, that it's always so much
Yes.
more fun when you are with the right people. So we always say when we have these discussions, don't find this as a moment for you to just beat yourself up because you have certain traits. At the end of the day, we all have our own traits and we have our own battles to fight. But we also know 100% that there are ways to manage those things and to manage them to our own benefit,
Yeah.
because all of these traits have their positive sides. And
Yes.
if we use the positive side of the perfectionist, of the stickler, then we can really make things work very well for us. And that is where we want to take you at the end of the day. That's
Yeah.
what we want to show you, that you can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I said, and as you were saying that, I was just thinking of a previous project that I had worked on, and the person that I was working with, you know, kind of had perfectionist tendencies, but also had them in check, right? And what was beautiful about working with her was her attention to detail, things that I may have otherwise missed, So there is so much quality that comes from the stickler, the underlying strengths of the stickler that we absolutely want to embrace. But for me, the stickler is perfection in overdrive, and
Yeah.
that is the bit where it becomes damaging. And you know, for me, that feeling of isolation can be so damaging in so many ways, and really can limit your resources. It can limit your resources because people and people's thoughts and ideas and inputs are a resource. They can become a resource. And if you're kind of cutting yourself off of that because of that absolute must be this, must be done this way, must be done at this time. If all of that stuff is really playing out, it just makes it really difficult for others to come in and be a part of whatever that is. And that kind of level of control is not particularly appealing, I don't think, to
Yeah.
many people. And I guess this, along with all the other saboteurs that we've spoken about in all the different ways, is kind of what's driving us to hold this space in permission to thrive, to create this space where, do you know what, together, let's explore these saboteurs, and let's find out how we can put them in their place. We don't get rid of them.
Mm-mm.
We never get. It's not about getting rid of them, but how we put them in their
If
place
only.
so that they don't stop us from getting to where we truly want to go. Listen, having identified the saboteurs that have been driving me for years, and they have changed along the way, but certainly in the past, like say 10 years, and knowing how they show up, knowing what they look and feel like, wow, the difference that's made in terms of what I can do now when I see them playing up, when I see them playing out, how I get them back under control. I mean, if I wasn't able to do that, I would still be kind of chasing my tail that I was doing, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever. And I don't have to do that anymore. And so I'm incredibly thankful for my
Yeah.
mental fitness, because my mental fitness is probably now as good as my physical fitness. And I am on a roll. I'm on a happy place.
That's fabulous. But yeah, the thing is that you can see it, and we have been coaching for a long time. We have been seeing different kinds, and we have managed. I mean, for me, the last year or so has been even more powerful with regards to how I see this playing out with others, and
Yes.
how much I can help others, like, get to a better place through understanding themselves better. I mean, there isn't anything more important than understanding yourself and what makes you tick and what not, and how to move forward, and how to use things in a positive way for you and others. So I think that I'm very passionate about positive intelligence, because I have seen how it works as an underline for any type of coaching that we do. And it doesn't matter what, even if you don't really coach, if you just do it, in for yourself, for your everyday life, for
Yeah.
your family, for anyone. I mean, the change that it brings is absolutely phenomenal. So Why
Absolutely.
not learn it?
Absolutely. And the whole point of, again, about community is that you get to do it, we get to do it together.
Yes,
Because again, coming together and doing it with people has a very different feel than trying to do it on your own. How many distractions do we have? How many other things do we have that we need to get done? There's always something that's going to be pulling us away. But when we come together in a community, it's the community that holds us to account, that keeps us on track in a supportive, uplifting way. So without the judgment, why haven't you done, and you're not doing, and you should be doing, none of that. But actually just saying, okay, what do you need from us to help you get back on track, or to get you to the next part of this, to help you move on.
absolutely.
That for me is like, that's just solid gold. And that is definitely something that Permission to Thrive is for. It's all about that. And I feel really proud about what we're creating, and I feel really passionate about it, because I wish that I had found a community like the one that we are building 10 years ago, 15 years ago would have been fantastic. In fact, any time would have been fantastic. But now, now is the time. Now is the
None
time.
of the time.
And I
Remember,
just,
meet yourself where you are, right?
sorry.
So meet yourself where you are. And
Yes.
today is the youngest we'll ever be, right? So
Yes, and I just want to. We just had a message in, so thank you so much, Yvonne and Evie. I do feel a lot of what you're saying applies to me. I'm having another go at putting my saboteurs in their place again, to take my energy back and point it into the doing, being creative. I feel seen and vulnerable too, and I'm making less lonely progress. Watch out, 2025 and saboteurs too. Love that.
way to
Awesome.
go, Helen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is just so brilliant. Oh, Helen, that is just gorgeous to hear. And she said, "I'm so glad I found you 10 years ago." Thank you so much. What a joy. Yes, and this is the beautiful thing, is just owning when we do these saboteur assessments. And I always feel like the first thing we want to do is reject it, like, no, that's not, I'm not having that. And I certainly kind of felt a little bit of like, I'm not sure that I actually want to associate with any of that stuff that's coming up, to be fair. However, in owning it, I've been able to work on it, and in working on it, I've been able to free myself in ways that I didn't even know I would be able to when I first started out on that mental fitness, positive intelligence journey. I didn't know how life-changing it was going to be, but it has been. And I definitely want this for as many people as we can help.
Absolutely, 100%. And I have to say, Yvonne, I mean, like knowing you, I could not believe there could be any more joy in your person. But hey, you really have broke the record there.
Yeah, it is. It's and this is, but that is, I think that's the beauty of it, is even when you feel like you're in a good place, the more you get to understand some of the things that are still running, those motors that are still running in the background that you're not fully aware of.
Absolutely.
When you get that awareness, and then you can actively work on them in a really positive way, my God, it's like another level. And I do feel like I'm on another level of joy, and that is just more joy for me, but hopefully also more joy for the people that I work with and that come into connection with me. Because if I can pour joy out, then I'm already, I'm good, I'm happy.
That's it. And definitely it is contagious. There is no doubt about that. And I'm sure people will experience it really big time in the community, from you and I. So
Yes. Yes.
fabulous.
Awesome. So just to say, on the back of that, I'm just going to give you a little teaser, because we are going to be hosting a free event where we kind of delve a little bit more into permission to thrive. And it's going to be interactive, so there'll be an opportunity for you to do some things. That's all I can tell you at the moment. We're busy behind the scenes working on that, and we're going to make that available and accessible for people to come and really get a sense of, could this be the community that I have been looking for and longing for? Could I find my place? And if I joined it, where could I be in a year's time? Because that excitement of where could I be in a year's time if I went full in and really kind of became a solid part of this community. And I really look forward to us being able to create that space and do that.
100%. And it's not about, the transformation is a given. There is not ifs or buts. If you play full on, you're going to get the results that you want. And it could be any results that you want, because we're covering everything that you might need in the space of relationships and progress of self and self-care and all these things. So definitely just think of the possibility, just that.
Yes, possibilities are everywhere. So with that, we are going to close in our non-perfection way, because that's how we do it here.
Absolutely.
As always, I want to thank everybody who has been listening in. Helen, thank you so much for your contributions. It's been great to see somebody proactively typing away there and interacting with us. Always gorgeous. Evie, as always, joy and a blessing to have time with you. And I'm just looking forward to all the brilliant stuff we're going to do together.
Absolutely. You too. I'm really feeling, blessed already. And I know that we are going to have a fantastic year ahead of us.
Yes. Come join us, folks.
Absolutely. Join us. Yeah.